Hello everyone, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Join us in unlocking the tricks of the trade here on Trade Talks. Let's get down to business. The best quality brown rice from Davao, fine wine from Argentina, and a steak restaurant also from Argentina, meat distribution in Mindanao, among other things, brought here in the Philippines. 3 different business endeavors, all run by a single individual, plus a whole team and his partners. Too heavy a workload? Think again. Today, we'll be speaking with Carlo Calma Lorenzana. He is the Vice President of Mindanao Agri-Network Group, the company that produces sun-made brown rice. He's also responsible for bringing to Manila wines from Argentina's Bodega Lagarde and La Cabrera, a popular steak restaurant, also from Buenos Aires. Good morning, Carlo. Thank you so much for being on our show this morning.
Good morning, Ferdi.
I'm excited because we didn't put a lot of your business endeavors and especially restaurant outlets on the introduction because you have a lot. Which one are your outlets?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank my partners for partnering with me in opening these restaurants.
Bobby Tan Chavez,
Bobby,
definitely.
yes.
Yes.
So the restaurants are La Cabrera,
Yes.
Bar Pinchos, Choco Asador, and the newest baby, Gosho.
Gosho. All right, so tell me, Carlo, you and Bobby have diverse business interests. Also, of course, Carmina del Rosario from Mindanao. But how did you get into this? Is your family in the biz?
Well, it all started with necessity.
Okay.
Because I was about to get married in 2013, and I was panicking. I needed to add a revenue stream. So I was in Davao doing a rice.
The panic would do that to you. Oh, yeah.
We were doing a rice business in Davao.
Okay.
I worked for the family called the brand is Sunmade.
Yes.
And that time, malls were opening left and right. And so I was dating my girlfriend then, Julia, and I was panicking. And I talked to Bobby, my business partner, and I said, "Hey, Bob, I think we should do some business. I want to get married."
Well, how old were you then?
I was probably in my mid-30s.
Okay.
Mid-30s or early 30s.
Okay.
Early 30s. And then what happened was we started with wines. We opened Boca Juan, and then we imported wines from Argentina at first. And then, luckily, we were able to do well, and we started importing from Italy. And then after Italy, we started importing wines from Spain.
Yes.
So it all started with wines.
Well, let me backtrack. Okay, the family business is agriculture,
Yes.
rice and stuff. I didn't even know they produce this kind of rice in Mindanao. I mean, forgive my ignorance.
No, that's true.
But
That's true.
did your parents think, hey, hang on, Carlo, you want to get married? Did you tell them that you want to get married?
No, not yet.
Okay,
That time.
they're just wondering, okay, what's this child up to? And he wants to go into more retail and especially, F&B. Did they support you?
Of course they did. They gave me capital. They believed in me even if I didn't have any experience.
They gave or you borrowed?
Both. The first trials were failures.
Oh, really? Tell me about those.
Well, Bobby and I, we were very young, aggressive. We spoke with Marvin Agustin at the time. We were the first franchisee of Sumo Sam.
Okay.
And also with Ricky Laudico.
Okay.
And so we we franchised Sumo Sam in Davao. And then we were so aggressive, we ended up opening 3 branches.
Wow.
And little did we know that it was too many branches that we cannibalized each other.
Yes.
And
It was
so-
too close to each other.
Yes, and so that was our first failure, but we learned a lot from that.
How long did that business last before you decided?
We still have Sumo Sam up to now, but
Okay.
from 3 branches, it's just 1 now.
Okay, so it didn't fail. What you did was you edited
Yes.
and to make sure that the brand still survives,
Correct,
right?
correct.
So how did you feel about that failure in the beginning?
Oh, it was very heartbreaking at first, but I took it as a lesson. It's like my master's degree in business.
Right.
A lot of failures, but it helped us grow. From that experience, we became more confident and we discovered La Cabrera in Argentina.
Yes. But before that, Carlo, before you discovered La Cabrera, did you Did you take up business in university?
No, I took a political science.
Pol Sci.
Yeah.
So did you realize what kind of feasibility study would be inherent to this kind of business?
As I mentioned earlier, necessity is a mother of invention, correct? And so I really needed an additional revenue stream. So from my studies in political science, I guess the things that applied were maybe how to be organized, how to be well structured, and basically just, I guess influence from my parents as well.
So after that, you went to Argentina. You discovered this new business.
Well, it started with wines when we would import, and
Okay.
every year we're invited to the harvest.
Okay. Wow, that's so cool.
It's called Vendimia.
Okay.
And so
I
Bob,
should check that out with you. I should
yeah,
go.
we should. So Bobby and I would be invited to Argentina for the harvest, the yearly harvest called Vendimia. And when I mentioned earlier, I wanted to get married, and I was about to get married in 2013.
Okay.
And so since we're invited every year, I wanted to, maximize the trip, so to speak, because of low budget.
Okay.
So our honeymoon was there.
Oh, there.
Yeah, and it was like a honeymoon/business trip.
Right.
And so we passed by Buenos Aires, and then we discovered La Cabrera there. And then we liked it so much, we went back the next day.
Yes.
We invited them to the Philippines. Luckily, they said yes. And even luckier is that my partners, Bobby and the rest of my partners, said yes. And that's how it started. From La Cabrera, we discovered Bar Pinchos in Alabang.
Yes.
It was started by this Spanish guy. His name is Tincho Gonzalez.
Yes.
He's my partner.
Yes.
And we opened Bar Pinchos in BGC.
Yes.
And from there, we got lucky again. We opened more Bar Pinchos branches. Now we have
Makati,
4.
yeah.
And our newest one is in White Plains.
Yes.
And from there, we said, what other Basque thing can we do? And so we opened Choco Asador. And after Choco Asador, we were lucky again. We won Best New Restaurant by Tatler in 2022. And so it emboldened us to explore Basque cuisine, and now our newest baby is Gosho.
Gosh, but why? I know you've got an affinity to the Argentinian or Latin culture. Is this going to be a permanent trend to your business model?
For now, yes. But we're also, since our DNA is wines, we import from Italy, we also want to put up an Italian restaurant maybe in the near future.
Yeah, let's go talk about wines. Is it a difficult business to get into?
Yes, very difficult because there's so many big players. They have been around for so long, and we only started in 2009 or 2010. And Bobby and I didn't really know much about the wines. We just like to drink it. We like the happy hour culture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like the tapas happy hour
Yes,
culture.
yes.
But okay, it is a difficult, you mentioned it is a difficult business to get into, but what are the benefits of importing wine since there's so much? I mean, the Philippines has a humongous wine culture right now. I mean, we just had a Bordeaux Rendezvous a couple of weeks back. And, there's a lot of wine players coming in and, putting their wares. And I'm not talking about affordable wine. I'm talking about high-end, more discerning. You're talking about 20,000 pesos, up to 500,000 even for a bottle, and even higher. Is this because of spending power of the Filipinos, or is it because of taste levels? Is it lifestyle? What does your what does your studies tell you?
I think it's a number of reasons. One, people are traveling more.
Okay.
2, the world is smaller because of social media. And so they're able to experience not only through their travels, but also the people they follow online. They get exposed to the different kinds of wines. And I guess that's one of the reasons, those are the number of reasons why wines are more popular now in the Philippines. But just to share with you, and to answer your question earlier, we started the wine business because we really wanted to supply our own restaurants.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that because it's now a pocket-to-pocket type of business, right? You are your biggest customer.
Correct.
So how does that work? How do you define your margins from one business and then pass it on? Do you pass it on as a B2B kind of concept, or how do you do it?
Well, for the wines, we are our own market.
Yeah.
So a lot of, or not a lot, but all of the wines that we import are actually the wines that Bobby and I like. So we are our own market, and so if we like these wines, and then we figure out the pricing and the importation after. First, we need to like the product.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the first step. And once we like it, we start supplying our own restaurants and also other restaurants that we
Yes.
do not own. But to go back to your question, it's because we like the wines. That's the first step.
Okay, so now that you figure that out, right, that you like the wines, putting it in your restaurant does that eat up a little bit of the margins? Because of course you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to supply my own restaurant with a particular variant of wine. Does the margins matter when you land it in the restaurant, or do you use that as also a retail outlet? Because it's both intelligent, as a business model.
Yeah. Well, we have two separate companies for the wines
Yes.
and for the restaurants.
Yes.
And we wear two hats.
Yes.
So not only are we thinking, hey, we have these wines and so we have to sell it to our restaurant and let it move.
Yes.
That's not how it works. Because first of all, one, the margins have to make sense. It just doesn't mean we own it, we can sell it to our restaurants. We have partners, and so first we present it to our partners, we ask them first if they like it, and if they do, our prices have to be competitive.
So it's super independent.
Independent.
But let's get back to that later, Carlo. We're going to take a breather. Trade Talks with the High Life will be right back. We're back on Trade Talk, still having a nice conversation with Carlo Calma Lorenzana about wine and restaurants, okay? This is the business of the high life because wine and food, obviously, that feeds your soul. Having so many outlets that you mentioned a while ago between you and Bobby and your other partners, how do you manage it?
Well, we're very lucky because we have good managers.
Yeah. Do you sleep?
Yes, but we're busy every day.
Yeah.
From the moment we wake up, we have to check the sales, the reports from the previous night or the previous day. And I'm just lucky because we have good partners. Everyone's involved. For the Bar Pinches group, we have 3 managing directors. Myself, Bobby Tan Chavez, who handles finance, and then Tincho Gonzalez, who handles HR. And for Mindanao Butchers, it's Carmina Del Rosario and her husband, Rafi. And for the rice business in Mindanao, in Davao, my mother's my boss.
Oh,
So,
that's I would say that's a major boss, right?
Major boss. There's no breakfast, lunch, and dinner without talking about work.
Yes. Okay. Since you are, I think Bobby's basically a brother to you and your
He
other
is,
partners. Are there times when you don't talk about business?
Maybe 10-15% isn't about business, but the rest is almost all about business. But we don't treat it like we can make money off of each other. It's
Yes.
like a natural thing between Bobby and I because
Yes.
I guess I don't have brothers. I
Yes.
only have a sister.
Yes.
We're only 2 in the family, and Bobby is lucky as brothers. But I guess since we've been good friends since high school, when we talk business, it comes natural.
Yes, because there's a lot of situations wherein friends that become partners normally don't end up well.
Yes.
How do you settle differences or concerns with your business
Well,
partners?
number one is respect. I think Bobby and I'm confident to say that we respect each other. And so we really listen to each other's, not only words, but also our body language whenever we have meetings.
You already know. You can
We already
read.
know, like I need to back off and maybe I can talk to him separately. And we also have to thank our wives. We have very, very good, supportive wives. And I think that's one thing common about me and Bob. We're able to talk to our wives at the end of the day. And they're our sounding boards.
Friendship versus business, what would you choose?
Friendship,
Always.
always.
Okay, so but when do you know when a restaurant's life has ended? How do you deal with that?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
We were faced that a few times already in the past. And it's difficult because it's hard to let go. But when you see the numbers are dwindling and then you can sense that there's no more future, you have two options. It's either you convert or you just shut it down completely.
How do you convert? Do you go back to Argentina and look for a new concept and fly back, and then you got a new concept?
We're able to convert by thinking of other similar concepts that we could set up there.
Yeah.
To give you an example, Bar Pinchos. We have this particular branch that was doing well, but it wasn't being maximized. And so we figured maybe it's time to do something else.
Yes.
And so we came up with a new Bass concept, and we were able to convert it. It's a team effort, basically.
Yes. Do you and your partners cook?
Me, sometimes.
Wow. So
But I'm not an excellent cook. I can only grill and fry.
But that's important, because if you can't sell what you don't know, or you can't sell what you don't experience, right? So it's important also to figure, okay, this wine goes with this particular dish or this concept, right? So who among your partners cook?
I think all of us can grill and fry steak at least. But
Oh,
we're not.
It's a man cave situation. I think you guys- Grill.
We're not good cooks. We're just lucky that we're able to, distinguish and differentiate what is good from bad. Because we're still, I guess, in the know right now. But there will come a time where we're no longer as knowledgeable and as exposed to what's popular and what's not. And so I think that's the time where we can say, oh, I think we need to pass this on to the next generation.
Correct.
Perhaps our children.
Are you preparing your children for taking over? Because I always ask this question when it comes to generational businesses or a business that's been established. For example, your gen and obviously working for the next gen. Would you feel bad if they go to a different route?
Well, we won't force them. First of all, they have to have the aptitude.
Yes.
So what we can do now at their young age is just to basically train them, expose them. If they like it, good. But if they don't, we can't force them. And they have to be qualified. It doesn't mean they're our kids. They can just go and join the business.
Yeah. Do you want to set up a restaurant in Davao? Send the kids over so they can be with grandma.
Yeah.
For you with your boss.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
we should explore that.
Yeah. Question. I'm very interested, again, moving forward with business and friends. How do you know when to stop expanding with your partners? Because you may want to expand, your partners don't want, or the reverse. How do you come to a
Consensus?
consensus or agreement?
That's a very, very good question. Well, we just have to agree. Majority wins. At the end of the day, majority wins.
Yeah, because you're running a lot of outlets, and of course, there has to be a time when you say, okay, we're comfortable with this, we just grow the brands and make sure that they survive another 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
So does that come into your play with your conversations, or is it still growing? We want more outlets.
I think we've reached a point that quality is better than quantity.
Okay. So
Because-
that's a business maturity.
Yes, and learning how to say no, when to stop. And we realized that our forte is really upscale restaurants.
Yes.
Our forte isn't mall restaurants or casual dining restaurants. Our forte is really upscale, and less is more. You can't have too many because you're gonna destroy the novelty
Yes.
of the brand.
Yes. Do you allow, among your tight circle, do you allow investors to come in and join the force?
Of course, we're always open to opportunities. We're open to that.
Okay. Or what about franchising?
Franchising might be difficult because we have experience with franchising as a franchisee, and owning an upscale restaurant is very personal. So franchising,
You get married to it, yeah.
You do every day, and I'm not saying the doors are closed. It's possible, maybe a JV perhaps, but maybe franchise would. If you ask me now, it would be a no. But in the future, we'll see.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot right now, Carlo. Which is your favorite restaurant
Oh my
among the
gosh.
restaurants you own?
It's like asking who my favorite child is.
I already know that answer. That's why I'm not asking that question.
Yeah, it's difficult to. I love them all, but if there's
One particular, come on.
okay, if there's one, I think there's a reason for choosing one,
Okay.
or there's a reason for choosing each restaurant. One, La Cabrera, because it's the one that really put us on the map.
Okay.
Two, Bar Pinchos, because it really made us learn how to operate as an organization.
Nice.
And three, Choco Asador, because
That's your baby.
and no, because one thing about Choco Asador is that high quality is very important. There are always people willing to pay for good quality, as long as you don't compromise on quality.
What would you choose? Rice or wine?
Oh. There's rice wine, there's sake. Yeah.
About what you have.
Well, maybe rice, because I have to thank my parents. My dad started it.
Yes.
My mom grew it, and hopefully I'm the third generation. I hope I'll be able to make it grow even further, and I could pass it on to my children.
The
So I think
fear
rice.
is real.
Yeah.
What about your biggest mistake, Carlo?
My biggest mistake would be, I guess, starting late. I think it would have been better if I was more serious in the beginning. And but you know what? Let me take that back.
Okay.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I think I'm where I should be right now, including all my failures in the past. I think it was very helpful.
Yes.
But you know, we still have a lot to do.
You're still young.
Yeah.
But thank God you had a panic attack and decided to get into another industry. Thank you so much, Carlo, for having a chat with me
Ferdi.
and getting to know you better.
Thank you.
And how it is to deal with friends and business and make it work.
Salamat.
Thank you, Carlo.
Thank you.
And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Bilyonaryo News channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Cignal Channel 24. Thanks for watching the Bilyonaryo News channel, always on top.